The Oregon Ducks, man, they are still hungry, charging towards a Pac-12 title berth, charging towards what I fully believe could be a college football playoff berth, but they handled business last night against USC in Autzen. Final score, Oregon 36, USC 27. What do we make of this game? Because there's sort of this narrative around USC and Caleb Williams doesn't have much to play for. USC doesn't have much to play for. Coming into this game, USC very much still had their own Pac-12 title hopes alive. So let's put some respect on this win, some respect on Oregon for getting it done the way they did. Let's break it down right now. But first things first, make sure you subscribe right here to the On3 YouTube channel. Oregon Duck fans, man, y'all have been so good to us. We've had so many of y'all join this channel in just the last couple of weeks. So one, thank you for that. Two, if you have not already subscribed and gotten dialed in, would encourage you to do so because we're going to talk a lot about your Ducks, a lot about Bo Nix, the rest of the way here with a lot of big-time games left to play. Also, follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at JD Pakel. Let me know what you thought of yesterday's performance from your Ducks. All right, so some game notes here. First things first, you got to be impressed with the defense because USC, the way that they operate, spread you out, they go fast, and by nature of how they operate, like I just said, spreading you out and going fast, that creates matchups because you can't be super multiple whenever they're going a play every 30 seconds or so, or even less than that, honestly, is probably what they're doing, and spreading you out to the sideline. And so what I was impressed by was Oregon being able to match up just fine with the USC skill. Like USC, 9 times out of 10, likes their matchup on the perimeter with all the playmakers they have. Oregon, they held up their end of the deal. I mean, USC's edge was not their edge yesterday. Caleb Williams still had 291, but only threw 1 touchdown, was 19 for 34. Held USC to less than 100 yards rushing, which they also do a great job doing. So as a defense, to be able to play at that level against an offense like that, say what you want about USC, that offense has not been the problem this season, and Oregon did a great job not making it a problem last night for the Ducks. Now, offensively, just felt like another day at the office. It really did. Like, you could probably have a cold open, which is Bo Nix throwing a touchdown pass, or the Oregon offense doing something nasty on the perimeter physically, and then cue the Office theme music. Like, that's kind of how routine it's gotten for them when they're playing on that side of the ball. Very physical on all fronts. Bucky Irving, 19 for 118, touchdown. Dude runs the ball like a freight train coming downhill. The Oregon playmakers, though, on the outside, I don't think they get enough credit. Tez Johnson, Troy Franklin, both those dudes ate last night. And I know it was USC's defense, but that was a defense that I think had their pressure bubble burst a little bit by nature of having Alex Grinch fired the week previously. Like, that was a defense now was playing with a little bit of new juice. Oregon did a great job not letting them even come up for air. Bo Nix, chopped it up like hibachi, to be real. I mean, he is the computer to the offense. He makes everything go. He is the organizer. He puts everything in their files. He clicks save as, put the desktop. Like, he is just so in control of the entire operation. He's also just kind of like the composer of an orchestra. He kind of makes it rise when he wants it to rise, crescendo when they want to crescendo with a big play, keeps everything on schedule. Like, you cannot say enough good things about the way Bo Nix has operated this offense. Yesterday was no exception. Threw for over 400 yards last night. Still looked a little bit disappointed with how they operated. We'll talk about that here in a second. But his experience shows every single weekend. Like, Bo Nix is never looking like he is playing to the moment. Every single moment looks the same for Bo Nix. Whether it's on the road against Utah, whether it's on the road against Washington, whether it's a potent offense like USC coming to Autzen, like, every single game, you get the same Bo Nix. And we talk about it a lot. Persona of a team takes on the leadership of their team. Dan Lanning, Bo Nix, never rattled, never frazzled, always high energy, always at the same competitive temperature. And that's going to serve them well going forward. Because when they get to those big spots, Bo Nix not going to be rattled. He's been in the spotlight. He's played in the SEC. He's seen those defenses. Like, he's ready for it. So forget his track record, where they're at right now and how they're playing. That's what matters, and that's what I think is going to make them dangerous the rest of the way here. So a game like they had yesterday, I think, was big on a couple of fronts. The first, externally, should add some legitimacy from an eye test perspective of how Oregon plays. I'm not saying they're moving up in the college football playoff rankings. I'm just saying you look at this game where they played a really potent offense in USC, and you also look at that game against Washington. And the Washington game that Oregon lost, anytime you lose a game I think the eye test gets skewed a little bit because Oregon lost that game by a field goal. Like, Oregon played really well offensively, but still to come up short in that effort, there was, I think, the potential for a narrative to be out there. I don't think it was out there, but there was a narrative that could have existed in some people's minds of, well, you just got to put pressure on Oregon and score points. Look what Washington did. That's how you beat Oregon. You just score points against them. And I mean, yeah, they beat Utah, but like, come on now. It's Utah. Cam Rising's not playing for them. That was all fugazi. That was, I think, the narrative that could have existed. The way they played yesterday should kind of quiet that noise for the rest of it. Also, going forward internally, I think this is a big deal because now you're better prepared for that game against Washington when and if you see them again in the Pac-12 title game. And we have made it very clear. We think they will see them again in that Pac-12 title game. You got another rep at playing that style of game. Played a potent sort of shootout style of game in Seattle, came up short, played a shootout kind of game of sorts against USC yesterday, matched up really well against that offense, did your thing, handled business, and like check that box. Okay, great. Another rep. You stole a rep at that game against Washington. Now, to be clear, Washington also got a rep against USC in Los Angeles and passed it with flying colors as well. So I'm just saying you got stronger. You are better for Washington today because of what you did against USC yesterday. If you are a Duck fan, I'll keep saying this every single week because I think it's true and I think it has to be said about Oregon, and it's not something that shows up on tape and it's not something that you can necessarily quantify, but the competitive stamina, the competitive temperature of where Oregon is at is why I would be scared to play them. I got a disappointed vibe from Bo Nix after that game. Coming from a dude who went 23 of 31, 412 yards and 4 touchdowns. Post-game, on the field, he's getting interviewed like he just lost. Saying, yeah, we, didn't execute as well as I wanted to. Left some plays out there. Should have won by more. That's a dude who's not worried about whoever's on the other sideline. He's worried about who's on his sideline. He's worried about his job. He's worried about what his team is doing because he understands there's a standard they play to. And so when you have that standard you play to internally, and it doesn't matter who's on the other side, that's when you become dangerous because every single day is game day. Yeah, Bo Nix lined it up yesterday with his teammates, and they had their game day jerseys on, and there was some juice and odds in. Like, yeah, that was awesome, but they bring that same juice to practice behind closed doors. We just don't see it on a game broadcast. So they're getting game day reps every single day in practice. That makes you dangerous. And I hate to keep reusing this same comparison, but like Dan Lanning and who he's worked for, Saban, Smart, this team is cut from the same cloth. I'm not predicting they beat them. I'm not even predicting they play them, but I'm just saying by nature of how they're built, they've got that same philosophy, and that philosophy is why those teams won national titles. So for Oregon, they got the quarterback. I think they've got the makeup on the interior and on the perimeter. The team's going places, and they are still hungry, still chopping. Handle business against USC. Again, final was 36-27. Make sure you're subscribed. We're pushing towards 200K subs like Bo Nix is pushing towards a Heisman Trophy. Want y'all dialed in. Also follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. Like I said, Duck fans, let me know how you felt about this game on those platforms. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Gonna keep this party rolling now. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.